I heard the splash before I saw her, one of those high-pitched, theatrical splashes that didn't sound like it belonged to anything natural. 1 minute, I was inside double-checking our thermal mapping data, and the next, there was a shriek echoing across the water like a dolphin on helium. I stepped out to the deck and froze. There she was. A middle-aged woman in leopard print swimwear, floating like a queen on an inflatable flamingo, wine tumbler raised high like she'd just conquered the Pacific. She had no idea where she was. And worse, no idea who she was interrupting. She'd broken into a federal-grade training city and off-grid aquatic zone where my old Navy SEAL team and I ran simulations once a year. Silent gear drills, underwater comms, low-light rescue formations. It was all legal, cleared by the Department of Defense, and for good reason. Some of these guys still ran classified missions. This wasn't a pool. It was a precision-built training environment, and Karen, well, she thought it was a hidden community spa. Now, look, I am not the kind of guy who gets worked up over nothing. I like quiet. That's why I bought this cabin on the edge of a sleepy lake town called Clearwater Ridge. The HOA ran the rest of the neighborhood like it was a 1950s parade. Flags, bake sales, clipboard committees, but I stayed off to the side, reinforced my fence, and minded my business. I never caused problems. Never even went to meetings. But somehow, Karen always found me. She was the self-proclaimed president of the HOA. Never mind that she hadn't been officially elected since 2021, or that her laminated badge was made at a Staples kiosk. She wielded that thing like a sheriff's star. She once fined me for non-uniform pine tree trimming. Another time, she came to my porch screaming that my Christmas wreath had too many non-neutral tones. And now she was breaststroking through a live Navy SEAL operation like it was a backyard luau. I shouted her name, Madeline, but she just waved and yelled back, "This pool is divine. Why didn't you tell anyone it was here?" She didn't even flinch when a SEAL in full gear surfaced behind her and looked to me for orders. "Sir? Initiate swim tether protocol," he whispered, half laughing. I clenched my teeth. "Stand down," I said. "I'll handle this." She twirled a lock of chlorine-soaked hair and sipped from her glittery wine tumbler. "You don't own water," she said, like she'd read it in a Hallmark protest sign. HOA bylaws say recreational areas are community property. I blinked. She had ignored 3 steel warning signs, climbed an 8-foot locked fence, and somehow decided we were the ones trespassing. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, she pulled out her phone and called 911. "Yes," she said calmly, still floating. "I'd like to report a cult. They're doing some kind of paramilitary water ritual, and I fear for the safety of our neighborhood." 10 minutes later, 2 cruisers rolled up the gravel path, lights flashing. Karen greeted them from the pool like she was hosting a 4th of July barbecue. "Officers," she said dramatically, "thank goodness. I had to infiltrate the perimeter just to see what was going on. It's a compound. These men are armed. They swim in formation at midnight." I stepped up with my credentials. Jake Rhodes, civilian contractor, clearance Bravo 7, DoD verified. One of the officers, Ryan, blinked and said, "Weren't you my CO's instructor in Coronado?" I nodded. He looked back at Karen and said, "Ma'am, you just trespassed onto a government training facility. That's a felony." Karen's smirk dropped. "You can't be serious. I'm the HOA president. You're not even on the current board," I added. "You were removed last year for harassment and budget misuse." The other officer snorted. She tried arguing, screaming about militarized neighborhoods and deep state infiltration. They offered her 2 options: leave or be detained. She left, but not before filming the entire thing for her social media page. I thought it'd end there. But of course it didn't. By morning, the video had gone viral. She'd added music, slow-motion effects, and dubbed herself the Suburban Sentinel. Hashtags like Backyard Warzone and HOA trended for a full 24 hours. Local blogs picked it up. National forums reposted it. And buried in her ridiculous monologue were real shots that revealed gear we weren't supposed to show, formations that shouldn't be public, and flashes of wetsuits only used in classified drills. I got the call from the DoD liaison just after lunch. "The ops compromised," he said. "Pull the team. Destroy footage. Recalibrate everything." I didn't argue. Karen's little cannonball had detonated a torpedo in my career. But it wasn't just me, it was the whole team. Guys with families, with active clearances, who trusted me to keep this place safe. and one woman with a flamingo float had blown it to pieces. But Karen didn't stop. She leaned in, posted new videos, held impromptu press conferences on her lawn with folding chairs and a podium she duct-taped the HOA logo to. "We must resist aquatic militarization," she shouted. One flyer even claimed I was building a wet navy funded by community dues. I didn't fight her online, that was her battlefield. I stayed quiet, and I built a case. I called 5 of the most grounded folks I knew: Clara, an ER nurse; Ben, a retired pilot; Raj, a logistics guy from FEMA; and 2 old guard vets who'd seen Karen in action. We gathered evidence. Clara pulled her 911 call history. Karen had called over 39 times in 1 year for things like suspicious tomato planting and unauthorized garden gnomes. Raj uncovered HOA budget leaks. Karen had rerouted funds for emergency beautification, all on her own property. And then one night, it happened again. The sensors pinged. I checked the cameras. There she was. Karen, crawling in camo through the hedges, wearing night vision goggles from a Halloween kit, whispering into a toy walkie-talkie like she was storming Normandy. "This is Agent Karen," she whispered. "I've located the chlorine stockpile. Target acquired." She got too close to the sonar jet. Whoosh, a pressurized geyser shot up and launched her backward into the pool. Her camera fried instantly. I stepped outside, clicked the spotlight on, and walked up slowly. "You trespassed again," I said. "And now I'm legally required to log your identity for federal surveillance. That's the protocol." She sputtered something about constitutional rights and ran for the gate. Locked, of course. I let her out without a word. The next morning, I packaged it all up: footage, timestamps, audio logs, HOA bylaws, and handed it to the board. No drama. Just cold, irrefutable evidence. At the meeting, Karen tried to carry on like usual: sun hat, clipboard, smug tone. But this time, Ben stood up. "Before we go on," he said, holding the packet, "we need to address this." She laughed. "Oh, is that Jake's spreadsheet of lies?" Clara slid photos across the table: Karen mid-cannonball, Karen in camo, Karen yelling at a seal with a rose in hand. "You weren't protecting us," Clara said. "You were humiliating us." The vote was unanimous. Karen was suspended from all HOA committees indefinitely. She didn't take it well. Set up a lawn chair on my property line with a sign: "Free Karen, political prisoner of Poolgate." No one joined her. Not even her cat, who was listed as one of the signatures on her petition to dissolve the HOA. Weeks passed. Inspectors hit her home. Raj had flagged the unpermitted safety upgrades she'd built with HOA funds. Turns out, her blast wall was just a hollow stone facade, and her garage nearly collapsed from an illegal remodel. Fines rolled in. Permits revoked. Contractors backed out. She tried one last media stunt claiming I was a deep state operative with eagle-shaped drones, but even the conspiracy forums got bored. And then silence. No more videos. No flyers. No protests. Just one day, a small box arrived on my porch. No name. No return address. Inside was a cracked ceramic flamingo and a note. "Maybe I went too far. Maybe you're not the enemy. I'm starting over." I placed it on the shelf in the equipment shack. No ceremony. Just a strange little totem from a chapter one never asked for, but somehow survived. That summer, we ran drills again. Quiet, focused, no cannonballs. Clara brought her kids by to say hi. Raj dropped off a mock newsletter with fake headlines like "Local Man Builds Space Shuttle Under Tennis Court." At the next community picnic, Ben unveiled a hand-carved wooden sign: "In honor of the Great Pool Incident, may future cannonballs be sanctioned." We laughed, took pictures, and moved on. Karen's house sold in early fall. No one helped her pack. No one waved goodbye. The grass grew back where her protest chair once sat. The lake was calm. The gate held firm. And for the first time in months, I didn't look over my shoulder. Funny how peace feels after you've earned it. And maybe that's the lesson in all this, not about military secrets or HOA power trips, but about how absurdity can unravel reality. And how truth, when handled with patience and precision, always floats back to the surface. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever dealt with a neighbor, like Karen, someone who twisted rules to fit their own narrative? Was justice served here? Or do you think I went too far by letting her unravel herself? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it.